SCP-8277 is a crosscut handsaw with an orange handle that can cut anything. Usually the cutting process produces two smaller copies of the original object, but sometimes cutoffs are transformed into something else, suggesting that SCP-8277 possesses some understanding of the objects it's applied to. The Foundation became aware of SCP-8277 after reports of abnormal carpentry emerged from a construction site in South Lake Tahoe, California. Tracing SCP-8277's origins beyond that point was unfeasible, as witnesses were uncertain about where the object came from. All relevant parties were amnesticized, and SCP-8277 was confiscated without issue. Following SCP-8277's arrival at Site-588, multiple personnel were intrigued by the prospect of its properties. Hoping to discover the intricate mechanisms of the anomaly, Dr. Cruz and Dr. Hunter conducted a series of tests, primarily involving cutting a multitude of objects with SCP-8277. Cutting wood planks, steel cubes, and laminating glass panels produced, as you might expect, two smaller pieces of the material. Cutting a large vanilla rectangular cake adorned with pink frosting and birthday candles resulted in one piece changing size and one getting copious amount of frosting. A partially filled water balloon was split into a completely filled water balloon and a helium party balloon, and sewing through a grandfather clock produced a similar grandfather clock and a wall clock. You can see the pattern here. The more complex the object is, the more creative SCP-8277 gets. For example, it could compact disks into two disks containing half of the initial data. Cutting replica painting of Mona Lisa resulted in the halves getting covered in red paint, with the woman's eyes covered by X's, and cutting a teddy bear replaced its stuffing with the viscera of a grizzly bear. Further tests discovered that SCP-8277 possessed some understanding of more abstract concepts like numbers or money. It appeared impossible to saw through objects that looked like zero or had zeros written on them. Cutting the t-shirt with a price tag still attached lowered the price accordingly. However, trying to cut McDonald's menu, which was unsuccessful, caused prices to go up and the portion sizes to visually decrease with each cutting attempt. 70 tests later, it became more and more difficult to cut through objects. It all started after cutting a strand of seaweed, which was separated into a puddle of seawater and a pile of herbaceous material we'd like, and further testing with smaller objects became increasingly strenuous. The team did not stop there, creating a mechanical contraption to saw through things, and the first item to test the apparatus was a paperclip. Unfortunately, the team lost the paperclip and moved on to the next experiment. Approximately at 11 hours, all communications to and from Site-588 was abruptly cut off without warning. This event also coincided with reports of a bright light being spotted at the facility's location. MTF Beta-7 Mess Hatters were then deployed to the area as a precautionary measure. Nearly half of Site-588 had completely vaporized, while the remains of the facility sustained massive irreversible damage. All personnel stationed at Site-588 were either confirmed deceased or missing in action. Most anomalies stationed at the facility were also lost. Site-588 was permanently deemed non-functional, with subsequent efforts aimed towards uncovering the cause of the destruction. Foundation investigators quickly deduced the destruction was the result of a thermonuclear blast. However, it was learned that Site-588's on-site nukes have not been detonated, and there was no evidence supporting the theory that a hostile group of interest was responsible for this incident. Halfway through the investigation, Foundation assets managed to locate SCP-8277. Despite being in the center of the explosion, the object was found to be completely intact. Shortly after, data from Site-588's SCP-net managed to be recovered. All data logged into the system was not deemed particularly relevant to the cause, with the exception of the most recent entry, which was uploaded just prior to the incident. Item: one singular grain of sand. Further testing with SCP-8277 was immediately suspended for the foreseeable future. Well, it took multiple years of research to split the first atoms, creating an atomic bomb. Who knew that an anomalous soul could do it after less than 100 experiments?